One of the latest reveals from the Rise of Skywalker D23 footage is C-3PO with ominous Sith red eyes. Is this just another C-3PO spare parts replacement like the silver leg or red arm, or does it mean something more sinister? Could C-3PO actually have been a Sith spy all along?
What?
This is Screen Crush. The Star Wars movies have had a lot of fun over the years by destroying C-3PO and then having him complain about it.
Can't you come back at once? You haven't finished with me yet.
This even extended to the prequels when we were all subjected to George Lucas's dad jokes.
This is such a drag. I'm quite beside myself.
So, did 3PO get tired of all the jokes and dismemberment and now he's finally snapped? Well, first of all, this is only a few frames out of a whole movie, meant to create speculation and hashtags. But on the other hand, I have a theory, so let's wildly speculate on this for a few minutes. C-3PO is a protocol droid built for etiquette and translations. They were used by everyone, from the elites of the Trade Federation to common slaves on Tatooine.
He's a protocol droid to help Mom.
Several other protocol droids nearly identical to 3PO appear in Star Wars, even in one of the franchise's first shots. But they all have different voices and attitudes.
Nice to see a familiar face. Ichuta. How rude.
In the comics, Dr. Aphra even has a protocol droid named 000 who loves to torture living beings. And 000 has red eyes, leading some fans to speculate that this is him. After all, he has posed as C-3PO in the comics. But I have another theory. As we all know, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, contained the shocking reveal that
I built C-3PO.
3PO is one of slave Anakin's pet projects, in between working on his pod and trying to pick up handmaidens.
Are you an angel?
Since he and his mom were slaves, he had to build 3PO from scraps. Now, droids are valuable in Star Wars, and it makes sense that someone might want to steal a completed protocol droid. So, what if Anakin built a failsafe in C-3PO, so that if he were stolen, he could broadcast a signal back to Anakin so he could trace him? Anakin also could have installed this later after he took C-3PO from his mother's grieving family, which, by the way, was a real dick move. But then again, so is slaughtering a village.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
This, apparently, was a turn-on for Padme.
Oh, you killed all those people? Give me a kissy, I love you.
Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, this is ridiculous. Droids are basically appliances. Well, it's not entirely true. Anakin, in particular, had a fondness for machines. In the Clone Wars episode, Duel of the Droids, R2D2 is captured by the Separatists. Now, the Jedi Command want to detonate him remotely to prevent the enemy from learning Republic secrets. But Anakin has an attachment to the droid, so they rescue him instead.
Hold on, R2, old buddy. We're coming.
Now, fast forward to the end of Revenge of the Sith, when C-3PO and the Maker have drifted apart. Anakin met someone else.
I pledged myself to your teachings.
And C-3PO stood too close to a magnet.
Have the protocol droid's mind wiped.
What?
Now, as far as we know, they didn't occupy the same space again until the events of New Hope. And even then, they were never in the same room together. But then, in The Empire Strikes Back, Vader and C-3PO could have been reunited. Let's look closely at this chain of events. 3PO discovers stormtroopers and is blasted. Chewie finds the droid in a junk pile and he brings him to Han and Leia. Then Lando shows up and invites them to dinner. But it turns out that Darth Vader has been waiting for them all along.
What?
And by the way, because they're not led away by stormtroopers, Han, Leia, Lando, and Chewie end the scene with the doors closing, alone in the dining room with Vader and Boba Fett. If I could see any unmade scene in all of film, it would be this awkward dinner.
Leia, how's the soup? You ever had soup this good?
Yes, on Alderaan.
Next, we see Chewbacca being tortured. And remember, Vader had a reason for causing the rebels pain, and it had nothing to do with information.
You never even asked me any questions.
Vader was torturing Luke's friends so he would have visions of them in pain and then fall into his trap.
They were in pain.
It is the future, you see.
So in a sense, Chewbacca is already being manipulated in this scene. Then the sirens stop and the camera moves towards C-3PO's scrap. Now, why is C-3PO even here? He's not a prisoner, he's a droid. The Empire could just rebuild him. Were they just being considerate letting Chewbacca have his protocol droid in between tortures? Instead, what if the droid was recovered and Vader examined it for any information about Luke's whereabouts? Then he would realize that this was the same droid from his childhood. Now, how would he do this? Well, not the voice. In the extended universe, it said that 3PO's voice was the default setting for protocol droids. And it makes sense that out of the millions of droids in the galaxy, more than one would have the same voice. But Vader would have recognized Anakin's craftsmanship and the nanny cam he installed years ago.
I'm gonna miss working on you. You've been a great pal.
No doubt he would start wondering about how unlikely this is and how this is destiny and the Force is clearly guiding him to this moment. So he releases C-3PO back to the Rebels. There is actually a precedent for this. In the now non-canon comic book, thank the maker, C-3PO's remains were brought before Darth Vader, who flashes back to building a protocol droid in his youth. In a rare display of nostalgia, he has the droid delivered to Chewbacca's cell. Except, I think that in the movies, he planted C-3PO as a spy. He put a light guard detail on Chewbacca and Leia, hoping they would escape, because he could sense, with the Force, that Lando was going to betray him. Otherwise, how could Lando have fooled Darth Vader? He's a telepathic Sith Lord, and Lando is a gambler with no Force training. No one sabacc face is that good.
Whoa, 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 Han. Slow down. Might want to quit while you're ahead.
And also, he wouldn't want to just let them go or make the escape too easy. When this happened in A New Hope, the Rebels knew they were being tracked.
They let us go. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape.
The failed deception led to the Rebels being prepared to face the Death Star and its ultimate destruction. So at the end of Empire, Vader loses Luke, but now he's got a man on the inside, C-3PO. And we know that Vader and the Emperor had spies within the Alliance because of this line.
What of the reports of the Rebel fleet massing near Sullust?
How did Vader know about the Rebel fleet? Because frickin' C-3PO was right there listening to the briefing. Emperor Palpatine is going to return in The Rise of Skywalker.
Good.
So it would make sense if he reactivated his old spy, C-3PO, who is conveniently embedded inside the Resistance. So what do you think? Is Darth Threepio a thing? And tell me your Episode 9 theories in the comments below. And if you're new here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.